The RBI has been cutting interest rates all through 2025, a total of 125 points. But that should mean that there are cheaper loans, and cheaper loans means that you have more access to provide money, to fund money. But the private investment is still very much below its potential. So why is that? That is something called as the fiscal deficit, and we'll look at it through this. Now, as you see in this, private investment is governed by savings by private individuals, by government savings, and by foreign savings. Now, that should mean that all of these cumulatively uh, give rise to private investment. Now, if we look at this, put the equation in this graphical form, we'll see that SG denotes government saving, private savings, and then foreign savings respectively. So now let's assume that all of them save 100. So the private investment for our use would be total 300. But what happens if the government is running in a deficit? So, for example, if not 100, now what happens? It's 250, almost 450. Now, what happens if it goes to minus 50? It'll need something to cover it up, to cover up its deficit. So, what it does, it borrows from private investment. So, private investment, say, let's say it has also gone on to around 60. But you see, the 40, which was lost by private investment, is not used for, in say, investment by the private individuals. It was just used to cover up the government debt. So what it does that if you add all of these, it's not 300 now anymore. It's 160 minus, it's 110. So there's a huge gap because of the government deficit. So slowly and slowly, what happens is that this debt keeps on accumulating and it snowballs into a much larger debt. So the borrowings you take, you're not taking it for investment, you're taking it to cover up the previous debt. People always will trust government to pay the money back rather than the private individuals. And even if the government is a crunch, it can always print more money to repay that. So obviously, if anyone is given a chance between a bank or a government, everyone will choose the government option. So ultimately, what it means is lower private investment, lower job opportunities, job creation, and everything. Also, persistent deficits kind of hurt your debt to GDP ratio. It kind of, even increases at times and always stays at the same point. And if it's constantly not improving, then it gives a bad impression with investors abroad. So a few tricks which we can follow is that we can start with fiscal consolidation, where our revenue expenditure is cut, not the capital expenditure, to improve the quality of government spending. So to make the economy work, I think this is one issue which seems very obvious and seems very simple, but if you go into the depths, into the nuances of it, you understand uh, that there are workarounds to it.